C++ allows us to use the operators such as that for addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, comparison, indexing, assignment, incrementing, decrementing, etc. for basic data types such as integer, floating point, double, boolean, etc. Operator overloading allows us to redefine the meaning of these operations for custom types or user defined types such as class and struct. Here we focus on overloading increment and decrement operators for prefixing or postfixing operations. Let us learn more about this through this code. Here in the code I have a class called marks which has attribute marks. This is an array to carry the marks as a floating point numbers. It has attribute capacity. Capacity is going to be the same value, the size size of the array, or the maximum max this array can hold, which is going to be 32 in this case. And the size is going to be actual number of elements of this array that are currently in use. So size is going to be always less than or equal to the capacity. Size cannot be larger than capacity value. That means in this case size cannot be more than 32. We have a default constructor to set size to 0 and capacity to this 32 value. We have a custom constructor to receive the size and max array and its size of the array, and it sets capacity to that 32 value again, and it does the validation of the data, and if it is valid it will copy. The size is going to be either 32 or smaller. If the incoming size is more than 32, it will set it to 32, otherwise it will set to whatever value it comes in, provided that it is a positive number. If negative, it will set to size to 0, which is actually the default value. We have a display function which if size is positive it will display the marks, otherwise it will display the text invalid object. And in the main function we have a marks array, and this is the statement that actually creates an object of the class marks by invoking two argument constructor, and this is the display function which actually displays the marks. So this is the code I have. Let me quickly execute this code and see the output. So this is the marks. It displays the marks that is carried by the object of the class in this form. There are 3 marks: 55.55, 66.666 and 77.77. Now let us talk operator overloading in this code. As I mentioned you, I will actually focus on overloading increment operator and decrement operator. C++ allows us to overload many different operators: plus, minus, multiplication, division, remaindering, indexing, and so on and so forth. There are many operators that can be overloaded, but here I will focus on plus, increment and decrement operator. In the next video I will have focus on other operators. So we will focus on incrementing, and decrementing. So now let us do it. In this marks class, it has a marks array, and we create an object marks. And if I, for example, do something like this, I apply increment operator, or I apply operator. What does this mean? For integer variable int x equals to 5, increment will actually increment the value to 6. And even either this is a pre-increment like this or post-increment like this. In both cases, it will increase the value x from 5 to 6. And in the marks, we have an array. So many times you actually need to actually define what does incrementing means for your class. In this case, I'm actually assuming that incrementing will mean increasing the marks. For example, the marks that I displayed in the output, 55.55, 66.66, 77.77. If I apply increment operator, it would increment all the marks by 1. 56.55, 67.66, and 78.77. So that is the actually meaning I mean planning to give to this class when it comes to incrementing um, the object of this class. So um, here first let us focus on this pre-increment. I am going to comment this out and remove this thing. So I actually want to make sure that this incrementing actually works. Then after that, if I display, then I would have this marks displayed, but this values would have been incremented by 1. So to make this operator valid, if I just compile this code like this, then compiler will definitely complain about this operator because this operator is not defined by the type marks type. If we define the operator for this operation, then this operator will be valid. So to define this pre-increment operator for the marks class, what we can do here is we need to actually define a class. We need to have a class whose name is going to be operator. This is a keyword in C++. You can use this word for any variable and other things. Like this void is a keyword, constant is keyword, so you cannot use this words to create a variables. Likewise, we have operator keyword, and the then actual operator you want to overload plus plus, and after that you have a parenthesis. You don't have anything in the parenthesis, keep it empty, and curly braces. And let me assume that this operator actually returns void at this for the moment. Now this is the operator, and if we have this operator, then this statement is valid, right? So if I, for example, if I remove this thing and go to the terminal and try to compile it, it will complain, right? And if I uncomment this code and go to the terminal again and do compilation and linking, it doesn't complain. It does compile, but we don't have anything placed in that function, so it will not do anything. It will not affect. For example, if I run, sorry, uh, so you can see same marks. There is no change in the marks after that operation. So if you want that change, to take place, then you must place the code, the logic in this function, and the logic you want to put is you want to actually increment the values by 1. So how you can do it? You can actually iterate. You can have a loop int I equals to 0, and you iterate up to size I plus plus, and inside in the logic you um, actually increment plus equals to 1. Either you max plus equals to 1. So you increment max by 1, and also sometimes your max may be, let's say if your max is, let's say 99.1, and if you add 1 to this, it will result in 100.1. You don't want more than 100 max, so you want to actually I mean uh, clip off the, the the portion of the max which is more than 100. So um, you want to I mean limit it to 100. Either you can use if else, or you can use conditional operator. I'm using conditional operator here, equals to max I greater than 100, otherwise max I. So this will actually limit to the it to 100. So in this case, in our case, it will not make any difference. But if, for example, if I have, let's say 99.8 max, then number of elements 4, then it will actually definitely make a difference. It will I mean limit it to 100. So let me switch to the terminal and show you the output of this code after I made the change. I think there was a typo. Let me go back to the code. I think the typo is in line 30. So let me go to the code, and in line number 30, max go back to the terminal, compile it again. So this is the output. You can see uh, you know this value has been incremented, right? So 5 to 6, 6 went up to 7, 7 went to 8, and 99 should have been 100.8, but it has been sealed. So this is the logic that actually I wanted to put in the function, but this is not sufficient, right? For example, sometimes for example in integer case, um, int x equals to 5, and plus plus x, you should be able to place in the expression like this, or you should be able to place int y equals to 6 plus 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 x. So these are the expression. I mean, if you are using increment operator, it should be applicable in this form. You should be able to apply that operator and put that entire expression in this kind of statements. In the case of integer, this is the valid inclusion, but in this case, if I let me try to include in that kind of expression, it will definitely complain. So in this case, because I cannot directly put in cout statement. For that, I need to have this operator enabled for the class. But what I'm going to do is I'm putting this in expression in this form, plus plus mks dot I want to call display function. So in this case, I actually want this max to be get displayed. So in this case, if I want this function to be valid, then I expect something object of max type in this place. That means this entire expression should return this max type object. In this case, the current object, the object after it is incremented, right? So to make it happen, then our function must return the object. So here we should return an object, and the current object is this is the pointer. This pointer actually points to current object, but this is a pointer. So instead of pointer, we actually want to return the object. So you can get the object by dereferencing. This entire expression is actually an object, and the type, return type for this object is going to be um, marks. And always in the pre-increment operator, you actually return as a reference, because you want this same object to be used in this place. So you return as a reference. Or sometimes you also, in the case of this x, you actually are allowed to uh, use let's say uh, this operator inside this operator. This is also a valid expression. So if you are applying this plus plus, then x is a variable, and also you want to have the x variable in this place, so that this application of this operator is actually becomes valid. So here also we actually want to be able to apply plus 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 this. We also want this to be valid, and for this to be valid, we should this operation, I mean expression, should return the current object, right? So therefore this return statement and this return type actually does that job for us. So let me do the compilation of this code and see what happens. That is just a warning. I actually would like to ignore that. Now you can see this was 55.55. It has been incremented, I think, 4 times, right? So because we have multiple expressions placed in the code. For example, it was incremented 1 time, and then 2 time, and 3 time, and then 4 time, and then after that, that object is used to invoke the display function, and after same object is used to invoke display function. So if I, let's say, remove this to expressions, then I will have it incremented by only 1. So 56 in the first case, the display function actually called through the object that was returned from the function, and display function was actually called through the object itself afterwards. Now this is the pre-increment operator syntax. Just remember, you have a class type return by reference operator plus plus, and you put the logic. The nature of this logic would depend on what kind of meaning you want to give for this incrementing operator for this class. Sometimes it may not be necessary that you increase all the marks. Sometimes it may be maybe increase the capacity or increase the class may have other different attributes. In that case, maybe you can increase. For example, if this is a class of a student and you have one height attribute, then increment may mean increasing the height by 1 centimeter or by 1 inch, depending on the requirement of the application. So now we want to also make post increment valid. Here plus plus, right? So we want to make sure that this is valid, and we also want to make sure that it can be used in expression like this. So for this expression to be valid, you need to actually have another version of this function. This is the syntax for let me just put a text here, comment. This is pre or prefix operator, prefix plus plus operator. Now for the post increment, the syntax is and inside the bracket you in the parenthesis you put int keyword, The purpose of this int keyword is just to make the signature of this function different from this function, so that compiler is able to identify which function to actually call for the post increment. In this case, let me keep it void now. You actually, what you do is you actually keep a copy of current object and you increment the current object and you return the previously recorded value of current object, right? For example, something like this: temp equals to this. You are actually copying this current object into this temporary object. I mean, the object with name temp. Then after that, you pre-increment. You can pre-increment. To for pre-incrementing, either you can put entire logic here, or you can reuse this logic by calling this function from within here. So the way of calling this function from here is, so you have this current object and you apply pre-increment operation to this. Then after that you return, this will actually pre-increment, but since we want to use this in the expression, so we need this expression to return the object. So we actually return not the current object, because current object has been incremented. We want to return the previous version of the current object, so which is actually copied in temp. So we return temp. And the return type is going to be max. We remember we don't put this reference here because it is not recommended to actually um, for the outside code or the client code to actually have a reference relation with the object that is created locally. So because the local object may be destroyed when the control goes back from um, this place, therefore you need to return a copy. Therefore we didn't have the reference in the return type here. So now this code will actually make this expression a valid expression, right? So let us see. And in this case it will increment, and in this case it will actually display the data and leave this object incremented. So if I have another display function, then we'll have that incremented version will appear. The data, incremented data, will appear through this this statement. Let us see. So to the terminal. Compilation and linking. Sorry, yeah, this is execution. So you can see this was at this point, previously it was incremented using post increment, and it was in this display. After this display, there was a application of a post increment operator, and then already it was incremented to 57. When that increment operator was again applied in the expression, then that previously incremented version was actually displayed. Then after that it left the object with one step incremented value. So after the final invocation of display function actually is displaying this value, which is one step more than the value in the previous case. Back to the code. Now I will quickly talk about pre-decrement and post-decrement operator. So for pre and post decrement operator, let me just copy this code and put it here. I want to make it pre-decrement or prefix minus minus, and here post decrement. So the syntax for pre and post decrement is same, except that you have minus minus in the place of plus plus. Now the meaning you want to give is, in this case I would actually decrease the marks by 1. So minus equals to 1, and in this case when you decrease there is no chance that it will go more than 100, but there is a possibility it can go below 0. So instead of checking greater than 100, I would actually check less than 0. If less than 0, you set to 0, otherwise set the marks. In the case of decrement also, you actually invoke the pre-decrement operator. So I think that this will actually make the use of pre and post decrement valid operation. In this case, for example, if you use minus minus marks, this is pre-decrement, and plus plus post-decrement application, and after that displaying after the post-decrement operation. Quickly switching to the terminal and trying to run this code. So I think I missed a semicolon, I guess. Let me go back to the code. So semicolon is missing here. So we have a decrement from 58. It has been decremented to 57. This was outcome of pre-decrement, and this was the outcome of post-decrement. It actually decremented, but it displayed the previous version of data, and then after that it actually decremented. I think there was a typo problem. One more time, let me go back to the code. So yeah, this should be the minus minus. Okay, now again one more time, compile and run the code. So you can see 57 and 50 from 58 to it decremented to 57. It's 68 and so on, and from 57 it decremented to 56. This is working. So this is all I have to talk about this increment and decrement operators. Thank you for watching this video.